May be seated. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We are in Parashat Miketz this week, which is the story, we're mid-story of the story of Yosef, where he gets called to interpret the dreams of Paro. And in many ways, we have a split screen in this parasha between what's happening in Mitzrayim and what's happening with Yaakov back at home. And there's a very powerful moment where the sons have gone to procure the food. They get the food, but they have to leave Shimon behind as he's collateral, I guess, for the promise of them returning. And they return to their father, and they eat the food, and at some point the food runs out, of course, and they realize they have to go back. But of course they can't go back without Benjamin, because that was Yosef's demand, although they don't know that he's Yosef at this moment. And Yaakov ultimately agrees to send Benjamin with him, his only son left, as far as he understands it, of his beloved wife Rachel. And Yehuda says that he'll take care of him. Basically, if he'll go in his stead. If Benjamin is supposed to be taken, Yehuda says, I promise I'll be there for him, and I won't let you suffer essentially anymore. So Yaakov then suggests that they bring a little bit of this and a little bit of that in terms of gifts. And then he says the following. Ve'el Shaddai yiten lachem rachamim lifnei ha'ich. And may El Shaddai dispose the man to mercy towards you, that he may release to your other brother, meaning Shimon, as well as Benjamin. As for me, if I am to be bereaved, I shall be bereaved. Like he kind of recognizes this a moment of, my life may change once again. And he offers this prayer, and may El Shaddai dispose the man to mercy towards you. Rashi gives two different explanations for this moment in the story. The first, he says, is he's supplied the brothers with everything they need. He agreed essentially to send Benjamin with them, as well as these gifts. So they have everything they need, but Rashi says, they have everything but a prayer. And so in this moment, what Yaakov has left to give them is a prayer that mercy will be bestowed upon them through what he doesn't know is Yosef, but through this leader in Mitzrayim. But then the other explanation is more focused on why it says the name for God, El Shaddai. Why in this moment is this word El Shaddai, this name of God, is used? It's not always used in the Torah, and anytime there's a difference used or a different kind of name of God, they have to explain why. And there's this very famous midrash about this name of God that says, God says, Shaddai, it's enough. When God created the universe kept on building and growing, was being created, and finally God had to say, enough. You don't have to create anymore, there's a limit. And that's the God that says, die, the God that says enough. And in Hebrew, if you are ever in Israel or around people who speak Hebrew, die, that's what it says, enough. You hear a lot of kids being told, die, must speak far, enough already. And so Rashi uses this understanding of the notion of God, why Yaakov uses this notion of God, this name of God in this moment, is because he's had enough tsuras. His whole life, and the midrash that recounts all the tsuras that he's had in his childhood home. There was obviously a lot of dynamics with Esav. The fact that he didn't marry his beloved Rachel first, the fact that Dinah was raped, the disgrace of Shimon and Levi. And it goes on, and it says that Yaakov's intention is that God will disrupt the tsuras, that God will say enough. And that as he sends his son Benjamin off with his other sons, that the tsuras will be over. But he, of course, doesn't know that will be the case. But that is his prayer. which is, I feel, a very strong prayer that resonates for me right now. That we have lots of names to call God, the source of life, the Holy One, blessed be God. But El Shaddai is the name that feels like the most resonant for me, is that we might have a disruptor in the natural way things are supposed to go, or what it seems to be an endless array of events that just lead to more and more tsuris. And Yaakov calls upon God, and also in some way Yosef too, although he doesn't know it's Yosef, to disrupt the way of the world, to say enough to the way of the world. And so I invite us to think about, I don't know that I believe that God actually can stop the way the world works. As we see it, human beings obviously have significant amount of control about the way the world is. But I think thinking about God as one who says enough also asks us the question, when will it be enough? And when might mercy overtake judgment? When might love overtake hate? When might extending a hand and seeing the pain of another overtake the violence that we often want against someone who is not like ourselves? Particularly in this week when more hostages have been found killed, when we also found that hostages were killed by Israeli fire, 3 today. Dai kfar, enough already. And so I pray on this Shabbat. Shabbat is also a moment in time that we say, Dai, the week is over. Let's take a breath and ask ourselves, it's been enough of this week. What do we want to prevail? What do we want to invite in? And in the God that inspires us to say enough, maybe we can invite more rachamim, more mercy into this world so that there's more peace, more love, more justice too. And we'll all have enough and not want something other.